What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Money Match Gaming Podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Dan Estrada. How are you doing? You can't answer, but I'll ask anyway. Across from me, even though he is not really across from me, my good friend Lance Corbin, the Infinite. How you doing today, Lance?
What it do, boy? What it do? As usual.
Yeah. High energy, as always. Always good to have you. Always good to be a part of this. And I'll start by saying, you know, how last week's episode, or the last episode we recorded, we talked a lot about RPGs and specifically Persona 5. And I'll let everybody know I did buy a PS4 in Persona 5 since that time, and I have put in more hours into that game than I have into real life. So it is a good game, and I definitely recommend it. But that's not our topic for this week.
Well, first, tell them what sick thing you did to get Persona 5. It's 5, right?
Yeah, it is Persona 5. It is a PS4. I also got Kingdom Hearts, but I did have to trade in my Wii U and all the games.
You're a sick man.
No, I'm not, though. Because, like, if I waited any longer, I wouldn't have got any money from it. Like,
pure thirst. You were like, you know what?
It's not. I wasn't playing my Wii U. Like, I would use it as a Smash box once every couple months or so, but I'm not worried about it. If I ever Smash will probably come out on the Switch. If I ever want to play that, I'll get it on there. I kept all my GameCube controllers and I kept my adapter, so I'll be fine.
You're sick. I have
the thirst was real. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it's not. It was there. It was there, and it was in my head from talking about it and hearing my friends play it as I talked to them on Xbox. And I was just like, I need it. I need to do it. And
I need it.
And it was. I need it. And it was worth it though, because it's a great game, and it's like legitimately one of the best games I've ever played.
I'm just one of those guys that just truly believes in, like staying true to your objectives and stuff. Objectives, wrong word. Like I just believe that systems, you just lose too much value. You just lose way too much value. And I would have gave you $50. I would have contributed to your.
I had to buy the I had to buy the console too.
Yeah, I would have contributed. I'm all for this group. Hey, look, I really need this, man. And
I would never ask money from people to buy a console. Like, I'll just buy that myself. I mean,
if I could,
I
would.
I don't have a Wii U, but whatever. Like I said, I wasn't playing my Wii U. It was essentially just a Smash box. Every day that goes by, the Wii U drops in value because the Switch becomes more and more available, and it's a dead console. I'm not upset about it. Like I said, the only thing that I'm a little down about is not having Smash, but I have that on my 3DS, so if I ever wanted to, I could play that. But anyway.
It's a sick move. It's a sick move, and I'll finish with this. I've never sold one of my systems.
That's the only one of my consoles that I have ever traded in. But I've got a lot of broken down consoles that I have sitting in my house that I wish I would have gotten some value for them at the time. But that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. I've got a PS4.
It matters.
I've got Persona 5 and I've got Kingdom Hearts, and that's all I care about. But we'll move on to this week's subject, which is not RPGs. We're going to be talking about the shooters genre and where they are today, how we feel about them, pretty much everything we did about the RPG genre, last week it was turn-based RPGs, but we're going to talk about shooters, and we'll start by talking about are you playing any shooters right now, Lance?
Shooters. Overwatch.
Yeah,
it's pretty much
Overwatch.
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest game in the country or the world.
It's growing. It's definitely growing. And I'd simply say that I think it's a good game. It's not as awe-inspiring as it is for other people.
For you?
We've had this conversation before. I'm a very team player. I like playing with my friends. I like playing with people. I get way more enjoyment out of things than that, and that's just what people are playing. So it's kind of what I'm playing. Usually, I play very few games by myself.
Gotcha.
Because they suck.
Yeah, that's the case.
Unless they're RPGs.
Unless it's a single player game, most
Correct.
games do tend to suck by yourself.
Yes.
I will definitely agree with that.
And I have a hard time making online friends.
Yeah.
I have a feeling in the future that'll change. But,
Overwatch led me to make a lot of online friends on my Xbox. Actually, when we hung out earlier this week on Xbox and we were playing Borderlands, which is another game we'll talk about later, we were talking with one of my random friends from Pittsburgh that I had met through Xbox, and now I just like he just hops in my party every day and we just hang out and play games together. Also, he also thirstily bought a PS4 with Persona like a couple days after I did. So
did he do the sick things? Did he do the sick things that you did? Because like I'm okay with you being.
He got his tax returns and bought it off Amazon.
See, that's what you're supposed to do. See, that's a real man.
I had to pay money. I had to pay money for my taxes this year. Okay, so I couldn't go get it off Amazon with my tax return.
Right.
I had to pay the government money. I lost money on this year. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's what happens when you forget that you're getting paid under the table. But yes, so Overwatch. Overwatch is, that's like one of my favorite games right now. Definitely was my favorite game of 2016. As I look around my room right now, I see 4 Overwatch Funko Pops that I picked up last week. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that game, and really it is given me hope again for shooters, because I was never really big into shooters. I played Team Fortress growing up. I was okay at that, which is, pretty much the same thing as Overwatch. But other than that, I was terrible at most of them. I'm terrible at Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Titanfall. I'm all, pretty bad at all those. However, Overwatch, like I said, I feel pretty good at it because I can be a healer, because I can be a support class and not have to worry about shooting people in the face, which I am admittedly very bad at doing. No, you're a good face shooter in the face. That's what you were saying when we were playing Borderlands. You're like, man, you can't even tell my real skills in this game. I'm like, all right, man.
Well, I would definitely say that, with a family and graduating college and starting real life, I guess you could say. I hate saying that, but it's the truth. I'm adulting, and my skill in general has gone down. Again, I'm a very social gamer. So, high school, elementary, junior high, amazing. You couldn't catch me missing. Like, I just didn't miss. And it's just like I put that many hours in. Like, Halo, like, me and my friends put a disgusting amount of hours. I'm scared to think of how much time that we actually put into that game, because we could play from dusk till dawn. Like literally all night. Then we would have LAN parties. Not those giant ones, but
were you guys like a clan together? Did you guys have some sort of like competitive team that you guys tend to play with?
No. Like in high school, I was a very reserved type of guy. I liked my close knit group of friends.
Right.
I would say that I was fairly mature, so I just didn't believe in like the immature things people would do in high school. So I just didn't like a lot of people. Let's just be fair.
Right. That's fair.
It's not that I hated them. It's not like, oh God, they're terrible. It's just there was a lot of things that I knew I just wasn't going to do. So
nothing wrong with that.
So I had the close ones that I had, and I explored with them. Alvin did have friends that were in an official clan, and they were really good. Outside of that,
did you ever play with them?
Once, but they hacked their Halo, so it wasn't anything actual like actual fighting. Yeah. They were shooting race shots from their magnums. Yeah, I think it was like Halo.
So, it's fun, but it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. It doesn't count. So it's like, are you really that good with your starting Magnum and shooting Wraith bullets?
It's like playing Mutators in Rocket League and doing something amazing and being like, look how cool this is. Like, dude, you're playing Mutators. That's the whole point of that shit.
Right. There's nothing special about this, man. You're hacked.
Grats. Right? Every car is on crack right now. So you're also doing, like, we're all doing weird shit. Chill out, bro. Yeah, the car's a cube. The ball's a cube. We get it. Calm down.
Right.
But I do admittedly fucking love playing some Rocket League Mutators, so always down for that. But all right, cool. So you didn't. So Halo, that's I would say your game of choice. Was there any other shooters that you played growing up? Whether it be, and it doesn't have to be like a traditional, like multiplayer or like a competitive shooter rather. But you can put like House of the Dead. Did you go to the arcades and play Time Crisis at all? Stuff like that. Were you a Gears guy?
I dabbled in any game that my friends were willing to play. I typically like all of them except Call of Duty. Call of Duty can die.
Call of Duty is a classic example of when game design goes wrong. because the early Call of Duties were great, but then when Activision got their grubby paws in it and were like, every year we want a new Call of Duty, the quality of them just went down, you know?
I wouldn't even say it's quality. I think it's just the general concept idea of what it is. It wanted to be the advanced form of a Quake or a Doom or Duke Nukem, and I think they just did that poorly. You know, like I think, you know, they got caught into a trap to where they were more concerned about like kind of realism in a sense, because you know that's what people complained about when they compared shooters back in those times, and even still now, is the speed of death is such an important factor in, you know, the shooter realm. You know, like people are so concentrated on how fast people die, and I think that has a lot to do with people generally being terrible. You know, just being bad. You know, it's like, you know, that can't be a legitimate complaint that because you shot your gun in a direction and some bullets hit, that because some bullets hit, they should have been more effective than they actually are. I think it's just BS. You know, they're like, and that's my thing about shooters is, and I mean, we talked a little bit about, you know, in RPGs, is I like complexity of games, you know, and the joy of having an option of like in engaging in combat and having options in that situation. So Call of Duty, you look down lanes and you fire your gun, you know, and that's as far as the complexity goes. You just have to have high awareness, and you have to understand the 3 lanes that are designed in most maps. You know, people are going to come from these directions, period.
Yeah.
You know, people spawn from these directions, so...
So did you play Titanfall at all? Because I would say that's kind of a more complex version of the first-person shooter, what with the addition of having Titans and these larger maps was still having kind of small amount of people in them. Not Battlefield-esque where it's like giant maps, but it's also like 1,000 people playing at the same time.
I enjoyed Titanfall for a while, and then some of the things that I feel like took them kind of too long to fix, or they just didn't, you know, kind of accommodate their fan base, you know, by creating modes that are truly competitive. And what I mean by that is eliminating a lot of the noise in these actual matches. Like, I can't tell you how frustrated I'd be when I'm running through a mob of robots and then like there's a real player hiding amongst them, you know, like it's just like
that always bothered me in a few of the Titanfall game modes, specifically the ones with the actual Titan, which I did not play a lot of. Admittedly, I played a lot of like whatchamacallit, the Call of Duty type maps or like playthroughs where you're just using the gun, because I was so terrible with my Titan. And it was just embarrassing. I just felt like I was ruining the game for the rest of my team.
And I think, you know, like, it should have done way better than it did. You know, like the game itself. Because,
I think
like,
Titanfall 2 did, but it got kind of buried because EA is terrible and made it come out the week before Battlefield.
Right.
And Battlefield was another game they also made, but they were like, we're going to put a lot more effort onto talking about Battlefield and not so much about Titanfall 2.
And I mean, I've heard that. I've heard that from a few reviews that I've actually listened to, and they talked about how amazing the actual game was. Yeah. And it's not like Titanfall 1 wasn't like it wasn't a terrible game. No. There were just some things that people really wanted that they didn't provide. Right. You know, so if they would have just removed a lot of the bots, you know, and streamlined an actual competitive environment that made sense to people, you know, they could have kept the other game modes. People would have still played them. Yeah. You know, they just needed to introduce, you know, an environment that worked for the typical shooter genre. Like, I don't want to shoot AI. If I'm on multiplayer, you know, I want to shoot people. You know, and then they messed up with the whole campaign thing. It's like they shouldn't have even tried. If that's the way they
for the Titanfall 2, because I've heard
Titanfall 1. I've never played Titanfall 2.
I didn't play Titanfall 1, but everyone, I mean, I've played a little bit of the Titanfall 2 campaign. I can't say that I've played the whole thing, but everyone that I talked to who's played it and everything I've read about it says that it's like an amazing campaign.
Well, yeah, I've heard only good things about Titanfall 2, but you know, because I'm such a social, you know, gamer and nobody's doing that, you know, it's kind of nobody's playing it, you know, so it's kind of like
I get you completely. The only reason I have it is because my one friend got it, and when it went on sale, he was like, "Hey, you should get this too," and I was like, "I'll get it too. Why not?" and then I just got it. And we played a few times, and we play every now and again. But yeah, that's another game that I would also say I'm a social gamer when it comes to that.
So, like, in general, just to finish the point, is like, it's probably a really good game. Like, 100% it's probably a really good game.
Yeah.
Because, like, if they would have fixed those 2 quirks, like, they couldn't have fixed the campaign. The campaign was done in Titanfall 1.
Right.
The game's out. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, once the game's out, you don't make adjustments to the campaign, really.
Correct. So it's like you messed up there, so you have to go all in on multiplayer, and they just needed to add those other game modes. And, I am not a game designer, so I do not know how complex that is or how costly that is, but I think it cost them, a good brand image, which kind of set them up for, round 2, and, like, they might have made an 100% better game, but because that's everything everybody keeps saying, it's an awesome game. 100%, without a doubt, there's little to complain about. It's an awesome game, but, you kind of messed up, Yeah. And so... But in general, I kind of wanted to segue into, like, a general idea of, like, the current state of shooters and talk a little bit about, like, the third person versus the first person, and then kind of go into details about, like, team-based shooters. So we were talking about, like, Overwatch and Paladin and Team Fortress and things of that nature. And then we can kind of segue into this subculture, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Going for that. So what's your general feeling or thoughts on a third person shooter type game, and how do you feel about those types of games? I
personally and this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, as I feel like a lot of mine are, I like third person shooters more than first person. I like third person games more than first person. I like being able to see everything that's around me and not just my hands and where my eyes can see. I understand that I'm playing a character. I don't need to live that character. I can see that character, and I feel much better about it. So me personally, I love third-person shooters. I mean, I love the Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 5 is one of my favorite games. Once again,
5?
Yeah, exactly. Unpopular opinion, Dan. Okay. I like Resident Evil 5 is great. I don't care what anyone has to say. I think it's a fucking awesome game. I love Splatoon. Splatoon was one of my favorite games of 2016 as well. No, that came out in 2015 actually. Yeah, that was one of my favorite games of 2015 then. It was one of the main things I played on my Switch, so when they got rid of I can't remember what it's called right now, but the wars that they would have monthly where everybody would choose a side, and then they would, for like one weekend, everyone would battle for whatever side they chose, and they had some really cool things there with like SpongeBob versus Patrick, or like Autobots versus Decepticons, because it's a kids game, so they got to keep it kind of kid friendly. But it was so much fun to do those things, and when they stopped doing those, it really kind of like took me out of the game. But then I realized it's because they were gearing towards the Switch and Splatoon 2 and stuff. So, but yeah, third person for me. I play a few first person shooters, but third person is my way to go.
I actually agree with you. I mean, other than Resident Evil 5 being your favorite of the Resident Evil series.
It is what it is. I don't care.
Resident
Evil 7 was not... It's not like I said Resident Evil 6, man. Like, 5 was a good game.
I don't even remember.
You just didn't like it because it was like, oh, man, it's in Africa? I was like, yeah, it's in Africa.
No, that is not the reason. The story was terrible, and Chris is terrible.
Chris is fine. Why do you hate Chris?
Because, number one... Because the story was terrible. It was just terrible. It wasn't as exciting. Like, I think Leon's probably my favorite. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I don't remember which Resident Evil that one.
Yeah, but that's he's Resident Evil 4. But, like, that's, like, the most popular opinion ever. People fucking come in their pants over Resident
because
Evil
it's
4.
A good fucking game.
It's okay. I didn't like Resident Evil 4 that much. To be fair, though, I didn't have it originally. I got it later, so.
Dan! Like... It's the same. They Resident Evil 5 was just they stole everything from Resident Evil 4. So like that's why this is like so ridiculous. It's the same game. It's the same game except terrible story and it's semi co-op. Like that's it. Like
what do you mean semi co-op? It's 100% co-op. I played that whole game.
It's 100% co-op. You're correct. That's not really what I
The
meant.
versus mode though was not good. I'll give it that. The versus mode for Resident Evil 5 did not need to be there, and it was not good.
I mean, I didn't even try it, so and nobody ever bashed me for it, so it's probably a good thing. Or I did try it, and it was so bad that I erased it.
Well, because it didn't come out at launch with the game. It was like a patch, like a few months later, because that's what everybody wanted. Versus mode.
I mean, a little bit.
No,
a little bit. Like...
no. What? That's not why you play Resident Evil 4 or any of the Resident Evils. Versus mode.
They could have made
Put them
cool.
in Marvel vs. Capcom, man. That's where they all are anyway.
Cool. Like they definitely could have made it cool. Which would bring me into a different section, so I won't go into it. But my general opinion on third-person shooters and where they are. I liked all the things you said. I generally feel the same way. They're probably one of my favorite shooter types, and the biggest reason why is because usually they spend so much time creating an actual story that makes sense. It's usually a little bit more towards like creating sensitive feelings for the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is a character, and the character does not have to be you. When it's in first person, I guess it's just my brain like making me think that I am the character, and I don't like. I like that sometimes, but really don't like it in first person shooters like ever.
They design it that way. You are the hero.
Right.
In third persons, like you're essentially
you're
participating in a story.
But
But there's a clear division,
right.
which I think creates for better storytelling.
Yeah.
They just tell better stories. Unless you talk about Gears, which arguably it's a terrible story.
Really, I don't know anything about Gears other than my buddy really likes them, and he's got Gears tattoos all over his legs.
It's a terrible story, and you can tell him this because mole men come from the ground, and they never explain where the mole men come from. Just full grown, 100%.
I do not have a leg to stand on in the Gears conversation.
We've been living underground for centuries, and today we decided to come out the ground. And then
Isn't that how Gurren Lagann starts though? That show's awesome.
Dude, that show is amazing. But no, that's not how it starts.
Yes, it is. They live underground.
They live underground, and they don't know how they got there. But by the end, they explain how they got there. What happened was they got advanced. They ran into aliens that said, we don't like when people are advanced. And they said, go back to your holes.
Yeah. And
so they went back to their holes.
So if they just had the explanation for why they're mole men in Gears of War.
I'm going to explain it, because Gears of War is even weirder than that. So that's how the story starts in Gears of War 1. Then they go to Gears of War 2, and then they kind of go in this factory, and you see that his dad's experimenting on these mole men and stuff, and they kind of pretend like there's some kind of deeper story that they're going to reveal to you, and then they never do. Like, literally, you don't know why you go to that place, and maybe you have to read books. It's just like, but why do I have to read a book when the game is supposed to be telling a story? Like, yeah. I should come to some completion of some kind.
I was gonna say, don't play Kingdom Hearts, man, because you need to read, like, everything on the internet to understand that fucking story.
Exactly. And I enjoy Kingdom Hearts. I enjoy Gears.
I love Kingdom Hearts.
But it's like, the story still matters, especially if you're telling me that you're going to tell me a story. And then it goes into Gears of War 3, which is weird, because they kind of end the war, but they kind of don't, because the mole men are still there. And then they introduce another element, which are called the Lambent, which who knows where they come from? Damn, I'm thoroughly confused. And maybe.
And then they had a fourth one.
And they had a fourth one where it's like, we threw a bunch of dead bodies, or a bunch of mole men bodies into a hole, and they regrew. And it's like, it just hurts your brain. You spend this entire time, and there's like, and like, in the third one, there's a new resource called, Link, or I forgot what the fluid's called. I forgot what it's called. But it like randomly appears in from the universe, and they just never explain a damn thing in the games. Again, maybe there's some diehard people out there that are like, F the Infinite, he doesn't know a damn thing, he should be reading the books, and it's like, no, man. You should be telling me the story.
It is a 10 different art variety. You have to look at the pictures, play the game, read the books, wear the hat, You got to do it all, man, or you're never gonna get it.
No, but I challenge you to ask your friend about the general story and make
Next
sure you
next
call
time
the
I next time I
locusts
see him, I'll ask him to try and explain Gears of War to me.
the story, the whole story.
No,
Say
yeah,
start from Gears 1 and go to 4.
I'll take notes and I'll bring him. I'll
Right.
bring him for a recording session.
I need to know, all right? And
We'll
you
do
need to make sure
a
you
Gears
call
specific episode.
right, and you need to tell him to tell like you need to call him Mole Man. Don't call him Locust. I had a friend say
anytime he says locust, I'll just correct it to Mole Man.
well they have like 2 different names, so he might
God.
correct you 3 different ways. Because they're the locust, then they're like the swarm, and I don't know what they are in this latest one. But it frustrates me. Like, there's no reason why. See, I got worked up. But in general, I like the complexity of third-person shooters. I think they're way more in depth and way more complicated, which leads to a lot more strategy and thought and design things that
I said, man, being able to see all the way around you is way better for me because I hate getting creeped up on.
Right, and it's like in a lot of third-person shooters, there's like cover options and stuff like. And I'm specifically speaking about Gears, and I really like that. I like that people, you run into walls and you duck behind sandbags and you can participate in the environment itself, and I enjoy that aspect. And first-person shooters just feels like there are obstacles that you're running around that sometimes you can use, but they're not. It just doesn't lead itself to it. It feels more like an arena, and this is why I think, we might as well just segue into first-person shooters. This is why I think, like, first-person shooters, like, Call of Duty sucks so much. It's just, Call of Duty wanted to be the new Quake, the new Doom. That's just how I feel.
I think right now, like, straight-up just multiplayer arena shooters, like first-person shooters, are, for the most part, garbage. I think the story, like Destiny having like a story is pretty cool. I think that you get, you have like Doom. Doom I think was really like had a really cool story that came out last year. Those are what I like. I don't know. Maybe it's just me not wanting to get like pissed off and get yelled at by a 12-year-old in fucking Missouri being like, I killed you, I raped you. I don't need that in my life, okay?
Dan, just get good, sir.
Get out of here.
Like,
I don't need to get good, man. I'm good enough as it is.
like your nickname's gonna be cringe for me. Like we're gonna have a cool relationship because you're just gonna make me cringe. And it's it's okay because I
different
like
strokes for different folks, bro.
you had to have liked 007 though, yeah?
Yeah, no, of course. Like 007's a classic. And that game you couldn't get beat by 12-year-olds unless they're in the room with you, so they ain't gonna talk no shit. They're not gonna talk shit. They're sitting next to you.
So you don't like the communities of first-person shooters?
Oh, no. They're toxic. They are League of Legends toxic.
See, I respect you for that. If you would have said that, then I wouldn't have cringed. Then I'm like, I get it, Dan. I get it. That makes sense. I can't tell you how many times I've been teabagged. And, like, I'll get teabagged by people I've been owning the entire match. And they get that one, and they're like, nuts in your face, And it's just like, all right, cool, guy. I'm just going to come back and kill you, sir.
Now this is a question that I'm looking through like the list of all these games we have here, and then we were just talking about the community and how, in my opinion, a lot of the community is younger based, but you have a few of these games that are kind of geared for a younger audience. I'm talking like Overwatch, Paladins, Battleborn, Splatoon, these very colorful games that are geared towards a younger audience, but I feel like it tends to be like the older generation that's playing those more, and then like the ones that are geared for like, supposedly geared for the older generation, the Call of Duties, the Battlefield, the Doom, whatever. Those are the ones being played by like the 10-year-olds. What's that all about?
I mean, like, I don't know if there's any real rhyme or reason. I just think, like a lot of those games that you described get more publicity. They get more awareness, and that's kind of how some kids work. is to where they just need to see it. You know, they need exposure.
Mm-hmm.
They like what's popular, versus people. I mean, there are a few of those games that are extremely popular though, and I would say that they're a little bit more evened out as far as their population base, their community base,
Probably. At least
which is
Overwatch, I feel like there's a good split. I mean, I
right.
bought it for my 11-year-old nephew for Christmas, so he
Right.
has
So
it.
it's like one of those things to where it's
I'm
like,
sorry, guys. I'm sorry to everybody on the internet. I gave Overwatch to an 11-year-old. I apologize. He seems like a good kid. I don't think he says the N-word, so he'll be okay.
yeah. So it's like it's one of those things. I think if I had to guess, it's just one of those things to where it's like, how popular is the game, and how much publicity did it get, and that's what makes little kids like them. Versus
Mm-hmm.
the more sophisticated audiences where they're just diehard fans. I feel like
Right.
Gears is kind of one of those things. People just love Gears, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it has good concepts. I just think, they fail at map making, in my opinion. I just don't like the way the maps are designed. Personally, I think you can just lance from too many directions, and it takes away from the soul of Gears, which is grabbing a shotgun and running up on a fool and blasting him. Like there's
Give him an
nothing.
old 1-2 punch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's Gears itself. You got to have a good Nasher game. Like that's just like they renamed the shotgun. Like that's the game. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you create these environments on a high competitive level where you encourage lancing, as they would call it, that simply just means using an automatic weapon to shoot from long range and not do the fisticuffs, which would be the
Mm-hmm.
shotgun versus shotgun battles. It just takes away from the soul a little bit. But yeah, that's where I would go. And I mean, like, so I mean, I guess we could segue into the whole team-based shooter type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Witcher
Well, but
general.
we've talked about that a bunch already, like
You think so?
Overwatch. We talked about Overwatch at the beginning. We've talked about I mean, I could talk forever about Overwatch and Paladins and Team Fortress because I fucking love those games. I
I
think
want to go into some crutches for me in those types of games. To where
what's
it's
that?
like Overwatch. I think it's. I think like every podcast, I'm gonna be caught saying this, and I think it's just gonna like kind of irritate quite a few people. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I think it's too simple.
You're
I
insane. That's like the dumbest statement I've ever heard. You tell me Call of Duty is simple? Yeah, Call of Duty is simple. Overwatch is not, like, it's easy to play, but I wouldn't call it a simple game by any means. There's a lot of nuances and, like, especially even with, like, the characters, like, granted there's no straight up story, but there's, like, the way they interact with each other is important, the way they talk to each other is important, the way they combine with each other when you have the right team composition and you have the Zarya throwing down her thing and the Sombra coming in to nullify the stupid Reinhardt shield, and then you have a Pharah raining in from above. Like, oh my god, when you get something like that, like, there's complexities in that game, and it's so, like, perfectly designed, like everything that Blizzard does, where it's beautiful to look at, like, it's very aesthetically appealing. It's easy to get lost in, and there's so many, like, tiny little details that you'll never really think to look, but when you see them, it just opens up everything. Like, I would never call Overwatch a simple game. I think there's a lot to it. It's just simple on the exterior.
I'm glad I razzed you a little bit. So, like, obviously, the competitive scene's complex. Obviously, the way the teams, like, kind of collaborate and come together based off of your picks
Mm-hmm.
is kind of,
It's
extensive.
like a chess match.
A little bit sometimes, but I think here's why, I said what I said, because it's not the actual game that's simple. It's a combination of a few things for me, and obvious, like, I shouldn't blanket call it simple, because that's not really what I meant. What I meant is you start on one side of the map, the other team starts on another part of the map. They have spawn locations, and then those spawn locations kind of change, but you always come from the same direction. You're always mashing up and meeting in the middle of wherever you guys are trying to go. So sometimes you capture points, so you're meeting in the middle, and that's kind of how that develops, which is much different than a lot of shooter games, to where you meet on several different parts of the map, and sometimes you have reasons to be out here for maybe, let's say, a power weapon or anything like that. And they removed a lot of those nuances from shooters, which would be like overshields and blah blah blah, and they put them on the characters, which is fine. But in general, I think there's too much, you know, character lock. You know, like I can't tell you how often I enter a room to where they're like, we need 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS.
Yeah, well, right.
And it's like
there is those, but that's why you get the group of players that you play with, and everyone feels comfortable rotating and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I tend to play tank and healer most because A, I know teams need it, and B, those are the characters I feel most comfortable with. I'm not gonna go out there and lead in damage with McCree, so I'm not going to play McCree most games unless my friends are like, Dan, do some McCree. And then I'm going to be like, it's high noon, baby. But like, you know, that's also leads to like the bit of toxicity within the Overwatch community where people are like, this is how the game has to be played. It has to be played like this. And to a certain extent, I agree with them. Like, you're going to have a way better time if you have the right team makeup. But if it's quick play, dude, I don't give a shit, man. We got 8 Sombras somehow. I don't know. They broke the game and added 2 more Sombras to the team. Have Sombra it up. Sombra Palooza.
But that's the problem, you know. It's like what you just said kind of agrees with my point that right now, you know, there's an efficient way to play the game, and anytime you create an efficient way without creating several efficient ways to do something, that's what happens. So, like, you know, just to go a little off topic, if you take StarCraft for example, you know, like, people play it a certain way. This is the most efficient way to do this, and this usually beats this because it's efficient. And I think anytime you get into those types of situations, it becomes who can input the correct things the most efficient way consistently, who actually wins. And which is why, you know, this is why I praise Halo so much, because it for me, in my opinion and my thoughts and how I approach these situations, is it beat that. Like, literally, when I leave a lobby in Halo and somebody's good, I'm not like, oh, they're just good with it. No, they are like 100% better than me. They're better than me. You know, like they're just good. I'm not gonna argue where they're looking, where they go on the map.
So you think by having the different classes, it gives people too much of an excuse to be like, well, you know, I'm not actually that bad. That guy's just really good with Soldier 76.
No, I think it's more of the lines of like, okay, well, the team needs to be played this way, and you're locked into those types of situations, so it lowers the complexity of the game.
But see,
so, like,
also with that is because in Overwatch the meta is constantly changing, so is the team makeup. I mean, if you look 2 months ago, that same team makeup where now it's 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS was 3 tanks, 2 healers, 1 DPS. Whereas before that, it was 1 tank, 2 healers, 3 DPS. And then depending on the team, if you have someone who's a good Widowmaker, it doesn't matter. Let them be Widowmaker. They know what they're doing. They can be good. If they pick Hanzo, leave. Get out. Run as quick.
You don't
as
deserve
you
to be here.
Run as quick as you can.
But that's just because of buffs and nerfs and all that other stuff, and then it creates a new efficient way of playing the game. You know, and I just want there to be multiple efficient ways to play the game. Now, mind you, you know, I'm sure people can go into the specifics of dive comps versus defensive comps and all these different kinds of things. But essentially, you know, there's a way that the game needs to be played. You know, you need to sit in this place in this way. You need to take these turns, you know, in order to kind of get to your destination. And it's like, for me, like, that's my ultimate goal, to create a good game, is to make sure that doesn't exist. There can be things that people like to do, but if people wanted to play the game this way, they could do that.
I think I guess I kind of understand what you're saying, but I think to its point, that's what makes Overwatch so successful, is that it is so easy to pick up, and although every character feels completely different, once you learn how to play a certain character, the game really changes itself, you know? It becomes something that's way more fun than when you're trying to learn characters. And by having this kind of set standard where you're like, this is how it should be, it makes it easier to pick up a character, if that makes any sense.
I guess I'll explain it this way, because I think this will help a little bit. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I was kind of a business major and stuff, and I would consider on a micro level the game is extremely complex because, like you said, every character plays different, and you literally need to play every character differently. Which is cool to some degree. I have some arguments there, but it's cool to some degree. And then on a micro level, or not micro, macro level, just clouds and dirt. The whole conceptual idea of the game. It has a structure, and to be good at the game, especially on a high level, you need to fit into that mold. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So it's like this is where I would give praise to games like Skyrim, to where they have a free leveling system. To whatever you decide to do is what you'll be good at. And that's literally where my complaint is the level of freedom within the framework to operate in a way that's creative. Because when you do that, when you create these environments that allow people to be creative, they will be. And like a good example of this is like StarCraft's level design, basically, to where people create whole campaigns. They create a game inside a game. Blizzard's really good at that type of thing. To where Warcraft created
and
Dota.
they have that in Overwatch now with the custom games too, man.
Correct, and it becomes its own little thing. And Halo had it too. To where it's like when you give people the room to play, they will. And it's just like it
brings us all back to Rocket League. Let's talk some more about Rocket League.
I'm gonna have to get it, man, so we can play together.
Oh, dude, Rocket League is fantastic. I would definitely play Rocket League with you. It might actually be on sale this weekend on the Xbox, so definitely look into that. Might be $13.
I might do that, but I still want to finish our Overwatch or Borderlands session.
Oh no, we're gonna do that, but it's always nice to have some little side sauce. Sometimes
right, some
just
side sauce.
Dip it in,
Right,
just
right.
a little dip.
Little...
This is a visual bit for the audience where I'm dipping something into something off screen.
Right. I guess that's pretty much it, and it's like, obviously Overwatch is a good game, so don't think I'm over here like, oh, Overwatch is terrible.
No, right.
It's an awesome game. I just wish it allowed a little bit more creative freedom, especially in the form of team comp. I really, really, really hate entering a room where people are telling me, yo, you really need to be Reinhardt. That's what we need on this team. We need a Reinhardt.
Yeah.
I'd be like, really?
See, and I think that's another reason why I pick healer and tank, like, just instinctively, is like, you're not going to tell me to change. You can't. You can't tell me to change.
I've had people tell me to change. It's terrible, man. So we'll go into the last part, which was the subculture, which is just the awkward games that I feel like didn't fit in any of the traditional types of shooters, which would be like Borderlands, Battleborn, Left 4 Dead, Evolved, and Winback, which I don't think you're very familiar with. But I'm not.
I watched like 2 seconds of a Let's Play that you sent me, and I was like, what is this goddamn game?
Oh, dude, that game is so amazing. I can't tell you how much fun I've had in those games. That face. Yeah, don't do that.
I'm not doing a face intentionally. That's just my resting face. Sorry.
Okay. I'm like, you giving me a disgust face. You know what?
Sorry.
You know what kind of... Everybody liked this game. I hope you did. Please don't make me cringe. Because if you make me cringe in this situation, I'm going to be like, damn! Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. Okay, I mean, I played it a little bit. I didn't play it a lot because when it came out, I was a young kid and I wanted to play it. But when my mom found out about the scenes where you get drunk and piss over everything and light fires, it was, it was out of the budget.
Right.
It instantly became a game that I couldn't have, like Grand Theft Auto 3.
Have you played any of the smaller game modes in Conker's Bad Fur Day?
No, not to my knowledge.
Damn.
Sorry.
Your mom ruined you,
let you down. She did.
She ruined you, man! Because, there was 2 game modes in that game that were absolutely beautiful. There was the teddy bears versus... I don't remember what the other team was. I just remember the teddy bears. But that was amazing. Yeah, you could, walk around, and it was basically like... See, it's so hard to compare to anything because it's a game of its own. It was squirrels versus teddy bears. And basically it was kind of like... It was like the first... I would say it's like the first Borderlands. It's so gross. People are gonna like flame me for it, but like the way
See, this is not a resting face anymore. This is a what are you talking about?
like imagine an arena based game that had like a lot, because like the Conker's Bad Fur Day, like it was pure humor.
Yeah,
Like literally all they did was make jokes the entire
right.
time you played the game, and even in the squirrels versus the teddy bear situation, you know, you'd kill things and they'd cuss and they'd yell at each other, and it was like so kid like that it kind of made you laugh, you know, because this teddy bear is like talking about teabagging the squirrel or something like that, and they kind of had these greasy moments, but it was like a really simple game that was like team versus team, and I can't explain it. And then there was, but so I'll just leave it at that. But it was an awesome game that kind of fits the subculture. And then there was this version of like the dinosaurs versus caveman, and you were like this caveman that had to run into this cave and dodge dinosaurs and get the dinosaur eggs and put it in this giant frying pan. Literally, you ever play Slaps in 007?
Yeah.
You know how you get all giddy when you guys are like running at each other and everybody in the rooms and everybody's like, it had so many of those situations. I love games that make me feel that way.
Well, that's why couch co-op is great, and why I wish more games also came with the option for couch co-op, which they don't anymore. Because just sitting there with your friends and having a moment is way better than being on Xbox and having a moment. Granted, I feel like I have way more friends who will hang out with me on Xbox than I do in real life and play a video game, but you know, when I had that one friend come over, it's nice to have those kinds of like
those bro nights.
Those bro nights where you just you know, like when I was in high school, my buddy Chris and Gil, they would come over every day after school and they'd play Left 4 Dead with me, and just playing it with them sitting next to me made the experience of Left 4 Dead like a million times more enjoyable. Like granted, they're already great games, but having them next to me and like playing online and like when we were like flipping like passing the controller around is so much fun.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes a lot of those games that we mentioned on the list so great, is they do have those elements. And to be honest, you know, I think that's one big reason why I started Money Match Gaming, is to recreate that community. You know, so it might not be in your couch, but you'll be able to go to an actual place and kind of do that, which is so exciting to me, you know, to where it's like you can go and you can meet people who literally do the same thing.
Do the same shit that you do. Yeah, exactly.
And you can have the environment, and you know, we'll have Mario Kart tournaments where people are just coming in. It's all for fun. But people will come in for Mario Kart, like just battle Mario Kart. Like,
I love
oh
Mario
God.
Kart. That, like, if Mario Kart was the game I bought the Wii U for, realistically, like I bought my Wii U the day I got Mario Kart. But I thought about buying a Switch for the same Mario Kart that I got on the Wii U. I really did, but I was like, it's the only game out right now. I'm not gonna spend money on that.
Especially because it's such a game that you do want to sit next to people, and it's so hard to do on Nintendo.
Right.
Nintendo needs to step their game up when it comes to that. Like, that's so frustrating.
That I would say that's quite the opposite. That's kind of what the Switch is all about. Like, it's all about portability, and you can just bring it to your friend's house and set it up on their table and be like, let's go, bro. You think you're better than me in Mario Kart? I brought Mario Kart in my damn pocket to fuck your world up.
Well, yeah.
Or you could go to the basketball court and play the NBA video games like they did in the trailer, because, you know, that's a smart thing to do at a basketball court.
I mean, like, that's fair. That's a fair argument, but I wouldn't say it's quite the same thing. You know, like, like, what I mean is there's no real reason why, you know, Nintendo shouldn't have a competitive online platform. There's just not, you know,
right?
Like, why, you know? So, and I mean, that's generally because that's how I'm gonna play with my friends. I'm not gonna go to their houses.
But the thing is, Mario Kart is a game where a competitive scene wouldn't make any sense because it relies too heavy on RNG. But like a friend competitive scene is great because, you know,
there are plenty of games that are played online that don't have a competitive scene. I'm not going to pull them out of my ass, but there's no reason why they shouldn't have an equal to an online platform as the other popular consoles. There's no reason, you know, like.
Well, they're trying to now, which is why they're charging everybody monthly fees, because that's how you do it. You get people to pay money, and you get better servers that aren't run on fucking poop.
Right. So, you know, but it didn't come with a Wi-Fi connector. You know, you can't hook it up manually without buying
Yeah.
another part for it, which is
That is the dumbest thing that they've
it.
been doing for so long now. Like,
It
I
doesn't make any
understand,
sense.
like, Wi-Fi, okay, get with the times, I get it, except Wi-Fi is just not as quick as hardwiring. It is science. That is just how it works. You'll never be quicker on Wi-Fi than you will hardwiring, and most, like, competitive gamers or people who like to play games, especially online, want their thing as good as possible. They don't want the option of, like, every now and again just it messing up because Wi-Fi is stupid sometimes, you know? They don't want that.
And I think that's proof that they're not really serious about, you know, an online platform that makes sense for their games. Because that's what people want, man. You gotta, you know, like...
It's the time. That multiplayer, online multiplayer is the times.
And I just feel like they're completely underrating it. But I think we're getting a little off topic. Sorry.
Yep. Hey.
Small rants.
Damn Nintendo.
So you like talking about Borderlands?
I do.
The third world, or not third world, but you know, the last final topic. Yeah. You know how
so,
what's great about the Borderlands series, man? Remind us.
What's great about the Borderlands series is that it's a first-person shooter that doesn't feel like a first-person shooter. You know, for me, it's way less stressful. I have no stress when I'm playing Borderlands because it's just like go into this place and kill bandits and bully bongs and whatever have you. And it is so, like, the art, I think, is beautiful. I mean, it's not, they say it's not cel shaded, but it's a very similar style to cel shaded, which I think is really cool. I think that the humor in the game is amazing. And I like I said, it's a first person shooter that feels more like playing Skyrim or WoW or any other RPG that you can think of, because that's, you know, what it is. You have a skill tree, and you're constantly replacing guns as you would like weapons or gear in any other game. I don't know. I could go on forever about things that I like about Borderlands. I think it's really like one of the very few 10 out of 10 games, like 10 out of 10 series, in my opinion. And people will agree with me, people will disagree with me, that is fine. But I think it is 10 out of 10. I think through its lifespan, through the 3 games they've made, I think they're all quality, even though no one will agree with me for the pre-sequel, but that's okay. You know who will agree? People in Australia, because they actually get the jokes. I think that Borderlands 1 and 2 were great, and they really helped a struggling company out in Gearbox. Gearbox was having a hard time finding their leg in things, especially after that Duke Nukem game that I'm pretty sure that they produced. I'm pretty sure they came out with Duke Nukem Forever, and not a lot of people wanted to touch that thing. So, it's just good, man. It's good fun, good humor. We played it for like 2 hours the other night, and it felt like it was like 35 minutes. You just get lost, you know. You just do stuff.
See, what you're describing is one of the first points that I made. Is they just do a good job of telling the story, which is why typically third-person shooters, you know, they concentrate a little bit more on stories, and it's probably just the nature of the design, like we mentioned earlier. But Borderlands does that. It has a really good story to where, and I mean, like, good story as in entertaining events happen in it. I wouldn't say the overarching stories are amazing. You know, hey, random people come to this planet to search for hidden treasure in this vault. You know, that's kind of whatever. But like,
that's essentially what Vault Hunters are. I'll give you that.
But the general flow of the game, the actual events themselves, the things that happen along the way, creates a narrative of its own. Which is why I can get lost. I can get lost in these side quests because they put so much time into explaining things and talking about things and making me feel like I'm in this random, bizarre world to where I'm exploring and collecting all these strange things. And there's a lot of jokes and humor, and they're entertaining me by dialogue and beautiful pictures, even if they are cartoonish. You know, and it's just like, you know, that's like an elegant way of saying whatever, you know.
And personally for me, I love the cartoon nature of it. Maybe it's just because I like cartoons in general, but especially with a shooting game, I feel a lot more comfortable shooting a cartoony looking thing in the head than shooting something that looks like hyper realistic in the head. Especially first person, because once again, for my mind, it'll be like, oh, I don't want to shoot this guy. I don't want to shoot that guy in the brains.
Like, I guess I don't really have too many problems with that, you know. But I do like like you can tell that like Gearbox, who made it, the people who made it wanted it to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like, oh, let's make this competitive. Hey, let's make it so it does this and that. No, let's make a game.
Let's make a game
that's fun. You know, and I mean, like, that's its focus. And it's weird to say that because, you know, when you're in an entertainment, you know, business, you would think that that's the main motivation for all these different types of games, but it's not. It's not.
It's not for League of Legends, that's for sure, because there's no fun to be had in that game.
Right. It's a good game. It's a good game, though. It's a good game. I enjoy it. But the toxicity is high.
None of the MOBAs are fun.
The toxicity.
They're good. They're all good games in their own right, and if you can master them, they're pretty cool, but they're not fun.
Come on. Like, the people are toxic. I'll give you that. Especially in League of Legends. I can't remember. Like, it's like the first game I'm playing. The very first League of Legends match I'm in, and people are like, "Learn how to play, bro." And
right?
We're
in the tutorial.
We're in the tutorial. Like, what do you get mad at? We're fighting bots. Like
I played Dota, which is like, you know, the first ever MOBA when it was just a add-on for Warcraft 3. I played it with some friends once, I didn't play it with them, but they were like, "Hey man, you should get this and play it." And then when we come on later, you can play with us. And I was like, "All right, cool." And the first game I played, I was told to, like, kill myself more times than I could count. And I was just like, no, I'm good. You know what? This is not a game that I need to play.
I'm usually pretty good mechanically in these types of games, so they didn't know I was a noob right away.
Right.
But after
I'm bad at running. I'm bad at doing the whole store thing. That's why I like Here's the Storm. Here's the Storm. Don't have to worry about a store. I'm okay with this game, but having to, like, sit here for, like, 10 minutes and be like, oh, what's the better item for me to buy, huh? Oh, well, let's this. Oh, no, not that one. But this one could upgrade like this. Oh, wow. Oh, crazy. Like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah, it has a learning curve for sure. And that's where they messed me up. Because I had an awesome early game. I got kills and everything. And then I was like, how do I? And then
when they started matching up with real people who knew how to play, you're like, oh, never mind. I'm not good.
No. I played 2 matches. And the first one, like, they didn't know I was a noob because I was getting kills, and they were like, oh, he picked a good character, oh, blah, 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 and I guess I was kind of the carry, and didn't know I picked the carry character, you know, and I just didn't know how to mix weapons, you know, they didn't have a formal system of, like, making weapons, so it was like, oh, crap, like, there's 4 different stores, there's 7 different components, and then when I type in, like, help in the bar, you know, this giant chat box would pop up, and they'd be like, you need to do all these things, and I was like, dude, I have, like, 10 minutes to go back to the field, and I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be here for 10 minutes. They're gonna yell at me, and then, like, they just raged and were like, it'd be better if you just quit, bro. And I'm like, but I'm not dying. It'd be better if you just quit. So I ended up quitting, but I understand. It's a good game though. It's a good game, dude. Good game.
Teach him, man.
So I mean,
I play Smite every now and again, and that game gets me mad. And I don't even play the MOBA version of it. I play, like, the arena, and I'm just like, why can't I ever get kills?
You gotta
get angry.
I don't know, man. You probably pick utility characters. Gotta pick high damage, man. High damage.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. So I guess we'll segue into the last part, you know, which is what makes shooters so popular. You have any thoughts or feelings before I go on my giant rant that I always go on?
Probably, in my opinion, it's probably just, you know, something that most people can't do on a regular basis. You know, you can go outside and have an adventure, but you can't go outside and shoot a gun because someone will get pissed at you about it. Like, you can't get away with it. And in those games, you have that, you can shoot a gun and you can kill people and you can be like, yeah. It's like the hyper masculine, exactly, hyper masculinity of it all. Like, yeah, shooting guns. Like, that's what it is, I think, but I don't know. I gain some fun value from playing first-person shooters or any shooters in general, but mainly I'm more of an RPG guy personally.
I'm gonna go real deep on us real quick. It's probably not that deep. I think there's something primal about aggression and manliness and competition, and I think it's just another form, another outlet for people to kind of do those things in a competitive manner. I feel like a lot of other genre games have a hard time being competitive.
It's probably as far as competitive genres go, it's probably the easiest one to pick up and master multiple games. Like if you could play Halo good, you could pretty much play Call of Duty well for the most part. Like it's the same kind of mechanics. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and they definitely cross over and stuff like that. And I just think it's just in our nature to do those types of things. I'm not one of those guys that believes like we can eliminate war. Like, I don't think we can. I think it's a natural part of human struggle.
Right. Humans there will always be humans that suck, and there will always be humans that want to fight each other, and it's just gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna escape it. War will never have everlasting peace because that's not sustainable, A, and B, we don't have the fucking space for that shit.
Right.
War is essential in keeping population down so we could live.
And I mean, we're making some sick comments, but I mean,
I know I don't agree with it. I'm for the most part a pacifist. Like, I've only punched a guy once because I thought I was getting $20 out of it, and I apologized profusely afterwards because I was like, someone said they were gonna give me $20. We were gonna split this $20. I was gonna give you half.
I had to do it, man. It's 20 pounds.
And then I didn't get the $20. It really rubbed me the wrong way. But yeah, I don't I'm one of those wouldn't hurt a fly kind of guys, but it is the world we live in, and you gotta understand it and accept it.
Right. And I think there's a lot of beauty in struggle, but I think that general human nature type thing expresses itself in any kind of highly competitive environment, whether that be entrepreneurship, whether it be competitive video games, whether that be in the fighter. Like 2D fighters are insane to me because like they're such simple games, but like the kind of aggression that goes into them, because those, like, I don't know, video games in general have some toxic communities. Maybe we're just toxic, Dan. I don't know.
Well, listen, I don't think it's we're toxic. All right, I think I am anti-toxicity, but it just kind of happens sometimes. I don't know. Hanzo brings out the worst in me, to be fair.
You can have a good Hanzo. I enjoy
watching.
You
very well
Hanzo.
could have a good Hanzo, but so many of them are not that it doesn't make you want to believe that you are the good one.
They're terrible. The latest one I played with, I think I was the healer, which typically I play DPS characters. Mm-hmm. I like being a team player. I like working together. I like the hoorah. I like the hoorah, Dan. And so it's like I'll let things ride, even though I'm like, this is not a good idea. He runs out and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, I'm the healer, and I have, like silver kills, like problem. Yeah. I think I was even Lucio too. I don't even think I was Zenyatta like I usually am.
Unless you were booping a bunch of people off.
No, these are straight, I'm just in their face grilling them. Like standing around my team, and bullets are flying everywhere.
To be fair, they did increase Lucio's damage output.
Yeah, and his projectiles are pretty good. So, I give the D the best way I know how. As Lucio.
Hey,
so you gotta do what you gotta do. And like, I think Alvin Smurf was playing with us, or he was playing with me. He was playing with me, and he plays May. He shouldn't have the most kills. He shouldn't have the most kills, but he did. So if he's at gold and I'm at silver, team, and it's just like, I got to the point to where it's like I politely typed in chat, who has the most eliminations? And then, they're kind of like, nobody says anything. And then Smurf's like, I do. And I go, well, I'm Lucio, and I have silver. Team? Which is like a really nice way to put it. And, they were kind of like, in the Hanzo guy was like, I got 10 eliminations, which would be like tied with me or something. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work, man. You gotta kill people more. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's a sad story. See, like, I pressed this all real quick. I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I brought up Hanzo.
Yeah.
This was my doing, right? You have nothing to apologize for. I started it.
It's sad. So. It's very sad. It's very sad.
But I think on that note, because we've been recording for about an hour and 5 minutes now, this is by far the longest episode. which I was hoping it would be the shortest one, so that's why you eat before you record. But it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. I'll eat at some point, and it'll be delicious. But that's all. I think we're good on this first-person shooter subject. Lance, would you like to plug anything?
Yes. So we've officially started our money tournaments for Super Smash Bros. If you win first place, you could get a whole $40. It's only a $3 entry. You guys can check that out on our website and things of that nature. We'll start marketing.
What's the website? Just so if they're
moneymatchgaming.com.
moneymatchgaming.com. You heard it here, folks.
Yep, and so there's that. Other than that, I think that's the main thing. And if Dan agrees, we're also going to be hosting a Twitch talk show with Dan being the lead, which is exciting for me because I enjoy our podcasts.
I'm doing spirit fingers right now, guys. You can't see it, but I'm doing.
Feel the love. Feel the love. So there's that going on, and I think that's the kind of bigger news for Money Match Gaming right now. We're segueing into something that actually makes money. Ooh,
and for my plugs, because I don't have anything personally to plug. I mean, obviously the talk show, that's cool. Definitely check that out when we get into the swing of that. Follow me on Instagram, Dan Estrada Comedy. All sorts of memes, and there's a new Ask Estrada that came out recently about Kylo Ren versus Darth Vader. It came out on May the 4th for May the 4th be with you. Who planned that? I don't know. But anyway, I'm also gonna plug Persona because it's a great game, and I've said it a bunch, and I'll continue to say it. And definitely check it out. Trade in your Wii U, get a PS4, do it.
Sick man! Sick man speaking.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Money Match Gaming Podcast, where we talk about gaming and gaming culture and all things that are associated with it. We'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks again. Bye-bye.